what is a name and how do we as individuals define the name? Well, first and foremost, if you want to go back to the Bible, it talks about how God changed the names of certain people when he was about to do something for, with, or have them do something for him. So names were very important back in those days. So I ran across a post on Facebook a couple of days ago, and they were talking about names and how prominent names were, and in the work world. So, the post pretty much said that somebody went to a employee workshop, and certain companies were saying that they didn't hire people who had ghetto sounding names. We know the names. Us in the black community, we seem to think that they're cute. The hyphenated word, the hyphenated names, the uh Lakeisha Johnsons, and the Eduardos, and that's a Hispanic name, his sounding name, but you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. The Macanisha, the uh Latavia, and all this other stuff, which they are cute names. They really are. But we have to really start thinking about our kids' future and the jobs that they may want to hold one day. So the conversation was going forward, and I was gonna actually pass the post up because I didn't want to partake in that conversation, because I know sometimes that conversation can get a little messy. And I was trying not to offend anybody. I didn't want anybody to think that, you know, that this was the way I thought, and but the reality of it all is that we have been discriminated against because of name in the work world. And if you haven't been discriminated against because of your name, there's a possibility that it's a company who is not a big company. There are no good benefits. There are no good 401k plans and things like that. A lot of times these big companies that do look at names to represent who they are, and like-minded people to represent who they are, they will not hire the names that are hard to pronounce. They want to find names that's simple. And I know it's easier said than done, and some even argued the fact that the resume should speak for itself, which it should. But when you have young kids, young teenagers, young adults who have no resume to fall back on, no work experience, and just trying to get out there and might be qualified to work in some of these um, Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 400 companies, they get passed by because of their name. And it's just the way the world works. It's crazy because I got into a somewhat debate. I wouldn't call it a debate, but you know, I value opinions. So this one particular girl, she was saying that her name is, I'm not going to say her name, but her name is kind of one of those names we're talking about, those cute names. And that she have always gotten a job that she interviewed for. She have always gotten a job that she wanted. She have a strong resume, and so she was always able to get the job she wanted. And I said, that's cool, that's fine. I told her I agree with that this is happening, and it's very discriminative. But we have to understand that every company would not look at your resume, because some HR reps are assholes. They are. Some HR reps are asshole, and they won't get past the name. So why? And it's not the HR reps that's actually assholes. It's the company execs that's telling the HR reps to fest out the bad names and only hire the people with said names, with names they can pronounce, with like-minded situations. that's not, the HR is just doing their job, you know. So she then came back and said, you know, so I'm just going to make an assumption that some parents, when it was time to give their children's name, they didn't think that far ahead. They was caught up in the excitement of giving birth to a child, and they just wanted to find a pretty name or something that was, you know, nice to them. She said, you know, and I told her, I said, well, I have 4 kids as well, and that was a thought for me and my husband when we were having kids. That was a significant thought when it was time for us to give our kids their names. I want to give my child a name that they will be able to get a job. They will be able to not be discriminated against. I don't want them to have to go into the work world and just pretend they're not who, you know, they are who they're not. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I want them to be able to get a job solely based off of their experience and what they can help the company achieve, not so much of them hiring her or them not hiring her or him because their name. That's the bottom line of the whole situation. Now, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that names are very important? Do you think that they should not matter? You know, a lot of the time, and it's crazy because with us being African American, they tend to discriminate against the names that we might give our kids. But then on the flip side, you have Africans who come here, you have name. And because they are coming from a different country, they get hired off the spot. They get hired. They get hired. They you know, they were able to represent these said companies who will not hire us because of our name. And once again, I said it's very discriminative. Um, this is something that needs to be addressed. This is something that we have to figure out how to not how these companies to not allow them to do this to us. But one of the main solutions can be if we as African Americans create more jobs and own our own, so we can hire the kids with those likable names, with those pretty names, with those original and outstanding names. You know, we can't keep complaining about what these companies don't want to do for us when we need to be able to do for ourselves first. So, with that being said, I think that we have to always create a way to make our kids accessible. Don't just sit back and think that they're going to always be picked. They're going to be the one to be picked for this, picked for that. No, they will get turned down a lot of the times. And it's not solely of, you know, they can have all the experience in the world. They can have all the experience in the world and they will get turned down because of their name. Um, this was really a heavy debate on that situation. You have a lot of people that saying they don't care. You know, it is what it is. They're gonna name their child whatever they want, which that's their right. You have a right to name your child whatever you want to name them. Some of the names are beautiful. Some of the names have such a strong um background. You know, it could be something that was passed down through generations that they decided that okay, I'm going to pay homage to my elders by naming my child this. So I think for us as African American women, we tend to always try to find the uniqueness, the uniqueness in a name when we choose the names for our kids. I have one. I'm just trying to read some of these comments. I have one that says that is true. Lots of companies do only online applications, never meeting the applicant. Not saying all, but there are some of the names in is a factor. Personally, I don't even look to see who those online apps. I only hire people I can first meet, and this is somebody I'm assuming that's in HR. Um, Another person said, as a black woman in today's society, if you haven't experienced some type of discrimination, You are lucky. She grew up in the 60s and 70s. Discrimination was a daily thing. It's not if you've been discriminated against, it's what you do about it, which I agree. It's about what you do after you have been discriminated. Don't just sit back. Make some noise. Do something about it. Um, you have somebody else says, I definitely can't believe it. Thank God you had an awesome human resource recruiter, because Terrell is definitely one of the garbage. One of the garbage with your resume. It's too much to actually read, but just a little snippet on the employers responding to racial names. It said job applicants with white names needed to send about 10 resumes to get one callback. Those with African American names needed to send about 15 resumes to get one callback. A job applicant with a name that sounds like it might belong to an African American, let's say Lakeisha Washington or Jamal Jones, can find it harder to get a job despite laws against discrimination, affirmative action, and degree of employment enlightenment. The desire by some businesses to enhance profits by hiring those most qualified regardless of race. African Americans are twice as likely as whites to be unemployed, and they earn nearly 25% less than they are employed. And that's the bottom line. They are paying us less, they are hiring us less. So we have to create jobs for these kids. Create jobs to where we can everybody can benefit from it, because we have to work extra harder just to get a job, just to get a call back, just to get an internship. We have to work extra harder. So we have to have these things already aligned for us. We have to make key connections with the right people. It's sad, but you got to rub some shoulders in the right way. You got to rub some shoulders in the right way to be able to move ahead in whatever your field is. I'm praying that you have an education behind that field, but if you don't, then you have to solely go off of experience. And experience is the best teacher, and it's the key. But a lot of times you can be overqualified. I remember when I applied, I think I just had my first daughter. I applied to be a janitor at a library because I really needed a job. I knew I was overqualified for that position, but I went on an interview anyway. And I got the chance to sit down with the director and CEO of the library of the town, the parish I was living in at the time. And I sat down with him to do the interview. It was a white guy, and he was so impressed with my interview skills. He didn't want to hire me for to be a janitor. He wanted to hire me to be a librarian. He said that I was too overqualified to be a custodian. I was too overqualified. And that's because I have, a college background, high school graduate. And, I just went in there and I gave it my all. And so they were very impressed with me. And that's one of the biggest things that we need to teach our kids, how to interview properly. When you do get the opportunity, you can get the call back for your said hopefully perfect job. You need to know how to interview properly. We have to teach these kids how to do that, because you can't go into a job that could be your dream job with the perfect benefits, the perfect 401k plan, a perfect retirement plan, and then you don't know how to hold a conversation to have an interview. You always have to give the employer a reason to hire you. You have to give them a reason to hire you. You have to be able to go in there and be a likable person. You have to show them that you can be a team player. And a lot of times people say, oh, we can do this on our own. No, you can't. If you going into any company, you have to learn how to be a team player. And that's what they look forward to. Sometimes it might cause you to, kiss a little butt. It shouldn't, but it's going to cause you to do a little bit of that so you can get ahead. And when it's time for that promotion, you'll be able to get that proper promotion to do whatever that you need to do to move ahead in that company. But while you're in that company, not only are you there to do the job, you are there to learn. You are there to learn every aspect of that job. So when you get the opportunity to start your own, you will know the ins and outs about that particular field. Every job I've been on, I took something away from each job as far as knowledge. I'm able to be a lot of different things because I took something. I actually sat back and I watched. I observed everything that was actually going on the job, so I can learn what to do and what not to do. I became friends with a lot of the people in higher positions than I was, so I can and see how they interact with people, see how their daily activity goes. So I was trying to learn everything. I'm like, when I go into a new job, I become a sponge. I want to know everything. I want to get to know the people. I want to know how this works. I want to know how that works. And that's how you move ahead. That's how you move ahead in life by allowing yourself to become a sponge. Don't be so caught up in, man, I'm just here to work. I'm just here to get this check. I'm just here to get this bag till you actually not learning nothing. And you become stuck in that one position for years. Next thing you know, 10 years done passed and they giving you a plaque for being a 10-year loyal employee when you could have within 5 years, or maybe within 3 to 4 years, you could have moved up the ladder to another position. But you're stuck in that entry level position because you don't know how to be a team player. You don't know how to become a sponge, and you don't have the skills it takes to move forward. So we have to actually teach our kids how to maneuver in the work world so they can, become ahead and do different things in that particular field. You don't want you don't like my son, for instance, you don't want him to just be a carpenter and he's been a carpenter all his life. No, you want him to also learn how to do electrical work. You want him to learn how to do plumbing. You want him to learn how to do roofing. You want him to know how to damn near build the house, how to design the house. That's what you want. You want to be able to grasp everything from everybody that you actually work with so you can move ahead and you can have all these things under your belt. So, you know, I hope you guys are enjoying this video. Why don't you go ahead and hit the like button and hit the subscribe button so you can get notifications when I post new videos. This is your girl Nadia with Social Talk Podcast, and I'm out. Peace.